All right, well, welcome back again, guys. It's good to be with you again today. And I'm excited to talk with you today about this concept of 3 keys to help you create change in your relationship. And I'm excited to share these with you. These are lessons that have come out of many different relationships, couples that are working to try to create change in their relationship, and 3 key principles, lessons that have been derived out of that I look forward to sharing with you today as you work to create change in your relationship. So stay tuned. All right, so 3 keys for creating change in your relationship. And these have been pulled out of spending thousands and thousands of hours with many couples, taking a look at those things that we can do to foster change and hope and growth and fulfillment in relationships, and lessons that are pulled out of that I think are vital for couples to keep in mind as they work to create change in their relationship. And I've been thrilled, excited to put this video together to share some of those with you. And let's kick it off with the first key, this first vital lesson. And that is that you can't make another person change. You can't force that. You can't make another person change that doesn't want to. As much as we might desire to create change in another person, to fix them or adapt them or grow them, right, in ways that we see are really important for them and for our relationship, we can't make another person change. One of my favorite quotes is, "A person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still." Right? So this idea that even if I can figure out somehow how to control or create fear in another person, if I can figure out how to manage them or threaten them, force them, right? Like even if I am successful in forcing them to do something different, act in a different way, change in the way that they're behaving, even if I force that in another person, it's only temporary. That change is only going to last as long as my forcing lasts, right? Which means that their mind and their heart is still the same, right? They're still contrary in that way, right? So we can't really make another person be different. In order for a person to grow or adapt or change, they have to desire it. They have to want it, right? Like intrinsically, they have to desire it for themselves. And I run into this as a therapist all the time, right? I can have all the knowledge and the skills and the resources, the know-how, right? The experience to help teach couples and encourage their growth and change, right? Set them up in ways that gives them the best chance for growth and happiness and healing and change. But if a person doesn't want it for themselves, my strategies are pretty useless, right? That it's easy for an individual to kind of block out growth and adaptation if they don't want it for themselves, right? And so the best chance that we have then is influence, right? The thing that gives us the best chance at helping another person grow and adapt and to change in healthy and healing ways is influence. It's found in our influence. And our influence is found in the level of strength in the relationship that we have with the person. So relational strength equals influence, right? And that's our goal as we work with another person, is we want to create relational influence to help influence change in the lives of another person, right? To help bring them to a place where they see the value in change, and then help promote that value and help give them tools and resources, strength and support as they try to take some of those steps toward change, right? So that's our goal. And that's the first key principle, that we can't make another person change that doesn't want to. Our goal is to influence them toward change. And that influence is found in relational strength. So let's talk about that just for a minute then. How do you increase relational strength with another person? If influence is found in the strength of your relationship with another person, how do we increase that influence, right? Because in a marriage relationship or in a dating relationship, certainly we want to help our spouse adapt in healthy ways, right? The healthier they are, the healthier we can be. And the more they learn me and understand me and learn how to be responsive to me, the more fulfillment I'm going to experience in that relationship. And hopefully the more fulfillment I'm providing them in that relationship, right? So if I'm invested in this relationship, I want to influence change. I want to grow my partner in a way that helps grow our marriage as well, right? So how can I do this? And like we said, the key to that is found in relational strength. So when you think about strengthening your relationship with another person, one of the most important things that you can do is spend time knowing them, which means probably spending more time listening than most of us ever think to do. We're very anxious in relationships to share with each other, right? To share with my partner about what I need from them. And oftentimes I can get so focused on trying to fix or shift or change them that I don't really listen a lot to them, try to understand why they are the way they are, what has occurred in their life that brings them to this place, right? Why they think and feel and respond in the ways that they do. So investing that time to know them better can be a really key way to build relational strength. As a person feels another person's genuine interest and desire to understand them, validate them, hear them, right? Step into their shoes a little bit. It can go a long way for another person to feel strength and connection in that relationship. So that's one of the primary ways that you can build relational strength. Another way you can think about building relational strength is investing time into that relationship. As you learn key things about them, looking for opportunities to bring that into the relationship. So for example, if I'm listening to my spouse and I find out, right, that it's been difficult for her growing up, that she didn't get a lot of praise or validation in her life, it would be really excellent for me to spend some time considering how could I do that more, supply that more in my relationship with her, right? Me trying to kind of take action on that item, to point out and praise and admire and adore in the relationship a little bit more, knowing that was something that maybe she didn't get a lot of, can go a long way in helping her feel like we're connected, and to invest in our relationship. She's feeling me be responsive to some of those things that I'm learning. So that responsive effort is another way in which I can strengthen the relationship. Spending more time knowing her, right? A first primary kind of way. And then trying to be responsive to those things that I learn about her can go a long way to build this relational strength, right? That loyalty and love that I have in the relationship. So that's our first key principle, right? You can't make another person change who's not invested in the change. We can try to force change, but when we try to force change, our efforts to change another person will typically only last about as long as the negative fear or anxiety or worry, control, dominance that we're bringing into the relationship. So demands don't necessarily help. In fact, I would call them harmful majority of the time. So instead, we want to try to influence. And if influence is our goal, how can I create relational strength to help influence healthy adaptation in my partner? That becomes our goal. Okay, so key number 2, the second key, right, is influence is not the same as enabling. Okay, so think about those two terms. Influence is not the same as enabling. So enabling is any time in a relationship that I'm doing something that increases the probability or the chance that my partner is going to keep doing the thing that I don't want them to do, or they're going to keep doing the thing that's unhealthy for them to do. I'm enabling that behavior in them by accident. And most of the time, people fall into this enabling trap because they want positive feelings in the relationship, and they accidentally mistake positive feelings in the relationship for promoting health and wellness and goodness, right? That it seems to make sense that if you want to promote a healthier relationship and you want your spouse to be more responsive to you, you need to increase positive feelings in the relationship, right? And so tension or contention can seem opposite to positive feelings, and it is, right? Like tension is not typically a positive feeling in a relationship, right? But tension is sometimes where the most growth can occur, right? When things are uncomfortable, we're motivated to make some changes. right? And so tension sometimes is needed for growth, even though it's not as pleasing, as enjoyable, as positive, calm, peaceful, connected feelings, right? So this happens sometimes in relationships. Let's say, for example, my wife is trying to get me to fold and put away my clothes more frequently. Let's say that's the goal, right? She's taking care of laundry because she doesn't trust me with the detergent and not mixing the wrong colors with each other and all those things, right? But let's say that she's trying to get me to be more responsive in the relationship with folding and putting away my clothes, that I don't just leave them in a clean pile and a dirty pile, right? That might drive her nuts, right? So let's say that she's trying to influence change in me in that way, right? And we're talking about this concept of influence is not the same as enabling. So when I'm not doing that behavior, when I'm not folding the clothes and putting them away, the thing that could create the most peace in the relationship might be that she bites her lip, that she either tolerates that pile being there and it festers inside of her and creates resentment that I'm still not doing it, or she goes ahead and folds them and puts them away herself, right? And when she folds it and puts it away herself, now it's done, and at least she's not bugged by the pile there anymore. But this kind of tension and frustration is festering still inside of her. And she's not sharing it with me because she doesn't want to create negativity in the relationship. Although negativity still exists in the relationship, she's just withholding it from me, right? She's trying to kind of stuff it all into herself so that it doesn't bleed over to me. Feeling like that she's improving our relationship or bettering our relationship because she's not putting that tension on me, right? Which becomes enabling, right? It becomes enabling because she's taking care of the thing that she really wishes I would take care of. And the more she takes care of it, the more it's not a problem in my mind. And the more it's not a problem in my mind, the less likely it is that I'm going to do anything about it, especially if there's peace in our relationship. There's no tension, at least for me, right? But for her, there's a lot of tension, right? She wishes that would change, and she continues to enable me, right, by either leaving the pile there and not making a deal out of it, or folding it and putting it away herself, right? And because of that, I don't come face to face with this issue very frequently, and she's sparing me negative feelings by just taking care of the issue herself, right? Which in the short run can be really positive for decreasing negative emotions in the relationship. But in the long run, that behavior that she's doing is enabling a lack of growth in me in an area that she really wishes I would grow, right? So that's really important for us to keep in mind, that enabling is not the same thing as positive influence in the relationship. We would want for instead my wife to decide for herself, how important is this folding of clothes things and putting it away for me, right? She might reference the resolving differences video that we did. And you can take a look at that video here. I'll post it here for you to take a look at. Our other video where we talked a little bit about knowing how big of a deal this is for me and kind of evaluating that. So that it might be something that she chooses not to make a big deal out of, and instead she tries to reframe it in her own mind. This isn't such a big deal. I don't want this to be a point of tension in our relationship. But if it is a big deal for her, if it's something that really means a lot to her, that she really wishes that I would adapt and change, it's important that she makes it an issue in our relationship. And she doesn't have to do that guns a-blazing and critical, right? It doesn't mean that she's got to become super demanding and forceful and controlling. That takes us back to key number one. The first key, right, which is you can't make another person change, right? Instead, they're going to change through influence, right? So we want her to approach it in an influential way with me, right? We want her to come in an influential way, but that might mean that there's a little bit of tension in the relationship while we try to work that through. And that tension is important because the tension can often by itself motivate change, right? That if I don't ever feel the issue that it is for her, right? If she enables me to stay the same by removing the tension all the time, how am I likely to be in a situation that I make that change in a positive way for the relationship, right? So influence isn't the same as enabling, and we need to be willing to allow a little bit of tension in the relationship toward resolving concerns, right? Not in a critical, demanding, controlling kind of way, but also not in a passive, enabling kind of way, right? This assertive approach to conflict resolution, resolving differences in the relationship, right? So that's the second key. Influence is not the same as enabling. And the third key is sometimes you have to be the change, which can kind of be a hard lesson because most of us, it sounds nicer if my partner's the change. To every issue that I have in my marriage, it would often feel better in all those issues if my wife was the one that did all the changing, right? That would allow me to stay in the comfortable place that I like to be and make her accommodate everything to me. And most couples that I work with, that's where they're at, right? Like it's not enjoyable to be the one that's trying to do the growing and changing. And yet, oftentimes, a failure to be willing to do the adapting and the growing and the changing prevents positive wellness and growth in a couple's relationship. Because if you have two people who are kind of stuck in what I call gridlock, right? And you can take a look at that YouTube video as well, how to remove ourselves from a gridlock place. I'll post that one here too. but you know, if we have two people who are stuck in this gridlock, both waiting on the other to be the change, change never happens, right? We both wait in anticipation of our partner to do the changing. And when we stubbornly kind of get stuck there, it's very rare for change to occur. So sometimes, key number 3, sometimes I need to be willing to be the change. I've got to be the change that's going to occur. And I'll follow this video up with another video that focuses on 3 ways that we can be the change in a relationship. It has to do with learning about reinforcements and how to use positive and negative reinforcements in a healthy and healing, wellness, kind of connective way in a marriage. It has to do with acceptance, right? Sometimes kind of picking those battles and identifying what I'm willing to accept and what I'm not. And third, that role that change has in a system, right? The role that I play and the key role that I play in a system and how I can kind of use my role in the system to promote change. So I'll follow this video up with that one. But that's key number 3. Sometimes I have to be willing to be the change, right? And if that's hard for me to be the change, if I rarely am part of the change, if I'm constantly demanding change from my partner, that can be a really negative thing in a couple's relationship. It can really prevent how quickly we can grow and adapt and accommodate one another because it promotes this gridlock idea where I don't really want to be the one doing the adapting. It's much more comfortable if you're the one doing the adapting. And if you have 2 people in that place, there's no adaptation happening. And couples can stay really stuck in that place. So those 3 keys, right? So thinking about those. The first one, you can't make a person change. And because of that, influence is your goal. And learning effective communication strategies, relationship building strategies, to kind of promote positive connection and understanding and communication and influence toward change is really important, right? When we try to just control and demand, it rarely goes well in helping a couple, helping a spouse want to be responsive to you. So that's the first one. You can't make a person change who doesn't want to. And the second one is influence is not the same as enabling. So being aware of when I might be engaging in enabling behavior and becoming a little bit more tolerant of, a little bit more comfortable with tension. And I'm not talking enmity and contempt, right? And vicious kind of vengeance type tension, right? I'm talking the type of tension that comes when we're at odds with one another and trying to, in healthy and effective ways, communicate through that and resolve those differences, right? And then the third key is sometimes you've got to be willing to be the change yourself. Sometimes you are the answer more than you realize, right? That I might be asking my partner to adapt way more maybe than is healthy, right? If we're going to kind of share this relationship, and a healthy relationship works when you have 2 people willing to kind of give and take, and I'm rarely giving, I mostly just want to take and receive their change, I may not be promoting change real well in my relationship. I might be getting in the way of healthy change. I might be encouraging defensiveness and gridlock with my partner. And that's contrary to change. That works against change. So I hope those 3 keys are helpful. Again, these are lessons learned out of working with hundreds and hundreds of couples, spending thousands of hours helping couples work through differences in their relationship. And I hope that you'll think on those 3 keys today. Spend some time pondering those, asking yourself the question, right? Like, am I trying to force change, or am I pretty good at influence? Right? Asking yourself, am I enabling in the relationship? And then thinking about how frequently are you willing to be part of the change process? How adaptable are you as you ask your spouse to be adaptable too? And make some tweaks, make some adjustments as you go through that process. Now, as always, if we can be helpful to you, we'd love to set you up with one of our relationship coaches, or you can take a look at our video courses, the Renew System for Couples video courses, where we talk about advanced communication strategies, we talk about resolving differences, we talk about working out of gridlock, we talk about maintaining relational strength and influence, strengthening the connection of your relationship for purposes of influence, right? So if those videos can be helpful for you, check them out as well. And if you feel like that you're really stuck in a troubling place, you might consider reaching out to a marriage counselor. You might consider connecting with a professional who can kind of mediate some of these differences and help you apply some of these strategies to work past some of the conflicts that you're running into. As always, like, subscribe, share our video. We're on a mission to help couples everywhere thrive. We really want to imbue couples with this idea that renewing of their relationship is possible, right? That there's a good foundation in most relationships that we can build on if couples can learn tools and strategies to really strengthen and enrich and grow their relationship. And we're on a mission to kind of get that information into couples' hands everywhere. So please promote this video content, help other people connect to it that you know could benefit from the video courses and from our YouTube videos. We really appreciate all the support that you offer toward this goal of bringing health and wellness, fulfillment, and healing the couples everywhere. So take care of yourself, and we look forward to being with you again soon.